Hi everyone, in this lesson we will go over some of the essential facts about decimals, and in this first slide we will go over some of the rounding tips. So when working with money, it is important to know that you always round to the nearest hundredth because money are normally written with 2 decimal places, such as $3.45. And if you're rounding a number followed by 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you always round up. And if the number you're rounding is followed by 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you round down. To avoid getting confused in rounding long decimals, you should only look at the number in the place that you are rounding to and the number that follows it. Now let's try out 4 examples below and see how these concepts make sense to you. In the first one, we are told to round to the nearest hundredth. And in this case, the hundredth is the number right here that you want to round to, which is the 2. That means you will have to depend on the number after it, which is the 8. So this tells you that you will be rounding up, which means 0.428 will become 0.43 because the 8 carries over to the 3. In the next one, we need to round to the nearest whole number, which is the 5 right here. That means we need to depend on the one after, which is the 10th. And 1 tells you that you will be rounding down. So 5.1 will round down to just 5.0 because the 1 does not carry over into the 5. In the next example, you're rounding to the 10th, which is the first decimal place value after the decimal point, and you will be depending on the hundredth. 7 tells you that you will be rounding up. So 0.57 will round up to 0.6 because the 7 carries over into the 5. On the last one, we need to round to the 10th, which is the second number right here, and you will be depending on the 1s, which is the 4. Since it's less than 5, we will be rounding down, meaning that 2,314 will become 2,310 because the 4 will not carry over. So in this slide, we will go over 2 vocabularies: terminating decimals versus repeating decimals. A terminating decimal is a decimal that does not repeat, such as 1.25, where the number ends at the 5 and it does not continue, or 0.6, again, just basically decimals that has an ending point that would not continue. A repeating decimal, which we also call a recurrent decimal, is a decimal with repeating numbers in there that goes on forever, such as 0.3 that goes on forever with a repeating line on top. This means 0.33333 and so on. Another example is 1.258. If the line covers 5/8, this tells you that the 5/8 will repeat on forever, never ends. What about a number like pi, which if you have learned it in elementary school, pi is defined as a number that's 3.1415 and so on, where there's no pattern, this number. It goes on forever, so it's neither a repeating nor a terminating number. It is not any one of them. In this slide, we're asked to write numbers in 2 formats: expanded form versus standard form, where extended form basically means to write numbers with base 10, and standard form is writing numbers in the way that you normally write it. So in example 1, we are giving 5,437, and we are asked to write it in expanded form. So how do you write this in base 10? You write this as 5,430 and 7 as you read it, which translates into 5,000 plus 400 plus 30 plus 7, and that is the expanded form of this number. In the next one, which is a decimal number, how do you write this in expanded form? You need to first understand the place value of each number, which the 3 is in the 10th place, this is the 100th, and so on. So to write this, you have a 6 as a whole number, plus 3/10, which is the place value of the 3, plus 700, again the place value of that number, plus 5,000th, and 1/10,000th. So when you're working with decimal, as you can see, you basically just write a number according to the decimal place value of each number. Now in the last one, we asked to translate an expanded form into standard form, which is to write it without the denominators. The easiest way to begin this question is to create a fill in the blank with the decimal place values. So the first line means the whole number followed by a decimal point, tenth, hundredth, thousandth, and 10,000th. Now looking back at the question, the first number is the whole number right here, so it goes onto the first line because of the denominator. The second one is the tenth because of the denominator, so it goes in here. The third one is out of the thousandth, so it goes right here. And the fourth one is out of 10,000th, so it goes on to the last line. Now all you need is put the numbers into the lines. 0 right here, 2 tenth, 5 thousandth, and 4 10,000th. So what do you do with the blank line? You put in a 0 to fill in the blank, and there you go. That is the standard form of this expanded form. 0 and 2,054 10,000th. So once again, to write an expanded form into standard form, all you need is to create an empty fill in the blank lines, so you can fill in the numbers according to the place value of the denominator. That's it for the lesson.